Greetings and very welcome back to my humble neck of the YouTube woods. We are gathered here today, guys, to swiftly respond to a juggernaut, a behemoth video response cascade that's been happening all down to RetroRedSteve, I believe, the Welsh legend. He has spawned and manifested a challenge called the A to Z of Gaming challenge. And the concept is quite simple, but it's just spread like wildfire across our little gaming and retro gaming community over the last couple of weeks, I believe at this stage, maybe even a month, but I can't recall not a day going by where I've seen a good few people respond to this, And I'm late to the party, truth be told. I'm just trying to quickly get through this. The basic premise is that you're tagged in a letter of the alphabet. It starts off with A and works its way down. And whatever letter you're tagged in, you have to pick a game. Just one game that you want to get out there, acknowledge. People have had different kind of tactics and philosophies with it. Some people have picked more obscure games, games that they don't think get enough credit. Some people have just gone with heavy hitters, games close to their heart. There's no right or wrong way of doing this, And then at the end, you tag 3 people who continue the chain, basically. So the next letter in the alphabet is the one that they're tagged in. As I mentioned, I am quite late to this because, this year and life in general has just been ups and downs and all around, good, bad, and indifferent. It's just blasted, boy. And I took a note of the good folk that tagged me and the letter that I was tagged with. But before I knew it, I was just going to let them build up and try and do what I'm doing now, which is just one video to kind of cover them all. But before I knew it, it was up to double figures. Like, I've been tagged by 10 people. That just goes to show you how crazy this particular VR has gotten, So I'm just hoping to blast through it. And at the end, I'll do a little bit of a different spin on the tagging jazz. Because, honestly, pretty much everyone I know in the retro gaming community that's quite active has been tagged at this stage. Some tagged numerous times, just having a back and forth and stuff, which is quite funny, depending on how reluctant they are to get involved and so on, But let me see. So we'll just, without further ado, we'll just try and blast through it, yeah? So I was first tagged by the legend that is Retro Kevo, and he tagged me with B, basically. And the style I went for this personally was just, I was tempted, me being me, I was tempted to just look up a list of all games beginning with such and such letter and see what sparked a memory and, see what, didn't get enough love and so on. But I actually decided to just go the opposite and just whichever jumped into my head at that time, for whatever reason, I went with. So I didn't look anything up. I just kind of go by memory and see what happens, basically. So with B, I went with Bioshock 2. Probably no surprise to anyone who knows me. I really enjoy the Bioshock series, and I feel that Bioshock 2 doesn't get enough love as it deserves, to be honest. It's probably my favourite. It's blasphemy to some people. But of the 3 games, Bioshock 1, 2, and Infinite, Bioshock 2 is hands down the one I've played the most, and it's the only one that I've platinumed numerous times, actually. So thanks, Kevo, Bioshock 2 on the B front. The second person to tag me, and I think I did this in chronological order, but the lads and lassies, depending on how busy they were with life, the letters will be further down the alphabet and back again by the time I was tagged with them. So we'll be jumping around a little bit. So bear with me on that. John Bunday was the next person to tag me, number 2. And he tagged me with the letter D. And I basically went with Dishonored 2. Again, similar to Bioshock, I really love the Dishonored series, and I just don't hear enough people talk about Dishonored 2. To be honest with you, I thought that was a great game. You could play two different protagonists and have slightly different scenarios and so on as it went on, and was as good as the original Dishonored, if not better in some regards. So yeah, thanks, John. Dishonored 2 for D. The third person to tag us was David Plays and Collects, an absolute gentleman, really, really nice lad. Very active in the YouTube realm as well. And he tagged me with G. And I was a bit conflicted on this because I have drifted away from the series as time has gone on. But had to be GTA Vice City. Just the nostalgia for that game and the radio stations. And, I got it pretty much as it came out on the day. And me and my friends were all playing it separately in each other's houses and then meeting up and talking about the story. And yeah, sure, years afterwards, I think I mentioned when we were playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And different games in the house, we'd have the GTA Vice City soundtrack on in the background. So yeah, it was a little bit of a no-brainer. I had to go for GTA Vice City for G. The nostalgia is just too strong with that one. And the fourth person to tag us was the hilarious Retro Gaming Langers. He's another really sound lad, very funny. Jesus, some of his skits and videos are just brilliant, and he's a legendary laugh. Sometimes he'll just have these fits of laughter, depending on what video he's doing and so on, and it's always great. Very infectious laugh. And he went with Oi. And this one, nothing really sprang to mind initially with Oi. It's more difficult than I thought. But in the end, I went for Infamous. A good series. I think I've played all of them. I know there was only Infamous 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 3, I believe. And then they had Second Son and First Light. And I enjoyed them all, but it was the original Infamous that I'm going with. I really liked that. It was one of the earliest games that I remember kind of having powers, and I really enjoyed the kind of ethical element and decision making in video games, and you could go kind of Paragon or Renegade with them. You could make more severe and cold-hearted decisions, or you could be pretty benevolent and so on, and that affected the story, So yeah, I went with Infamous for Oi. Thank you, Retro Gaming Langers. And fifth, Saberduel Gaming tagged us, the Scouse legend himself. And he brought it back to the letter D. And because I'd already gone with Dishonored 2, I went to the next thing that sprang to mind, which was Dragon Age Origins, the first Dragon Age game. I played back on the PlayStation 3. And was really surprised at how much I liked that game, to be fair. It's very like Mass Effect, but more in a more traditional fantasy element, but it has all of those strengths that Mass Effect has, which is really good narrative, really good characters, particularly the companion character element. So yeah, Dragon Age Origins. Thanks, Saber. And number 6, I was tagged by GirlGamerResi, and she tagged me with the letter F. So again, with a similar philosophy and mindset, I'm going to go with a heavy hitter series, which is Fallout. But I'm going to go for one that I think doesn't get enough love, which is Fallout 76. Kind of a time cost between Fallout 4 and 76, because there's certain gamers that don't appreciate those games. But Fallout 76 had a really bad launch, and there was no NPCs, and it got kind of blasted. It's kind of the first online Fallout kind of experiment. But as time went on, they introduced NPCs, and each patch added more content. And by the time I actually got to it, which was years after the game's release, I just really had a great time teaming with my nephew, Thomas, on it. We basically played through 90% of the game together, Great fun, and I would recommend it. So, Fallout 76, because it's kind of a controversial one, and it's kind of loved or hated, depending on where you fall. The 7th person to tag me was John over at Retroprojections, Legend of a Lad. And he tagged me with the letter L. And I just kind of went with the first thing to spring to mind with this one. And it's because it's a bit of an unusual game. I went with Lake, basically. A game I played a couple of years back. I got the platinum on it. And it's kind of an easygoing game, kind of a cozy game, if you will. And it's just about this lass reaching a point in her life where I wouldn't say she's having an existential crisis or anything like that, or a midlife crisis or anything, but she's at a point in her life where she's a couple of crossroads to choose and how she wants to go and what her priorities are and so on. And she goes back to work at a post office. Her father, I think she's covering for her father, who's off on holiday with her mother, basically. So she goes back to her hometown and meets with old friends and kind of assesses whether she wants to be caught in the rat race and be career orientated, or whether she wants to settle down, have a partner, not have a partner. But yeah, it's kind of a cozy, laid back, relaxing type game, you know. So Lake for L. Thanks, John. Number A is GameonGhost and his legendary daughter, I believe. Both tagged us, and they went with J. J, nothing really sprang to mind for J until I kind of remembered this game I got a platinum on the PlayStation 4 called Jazzpunk. It's kind of a goofy, silly, really doesn't take itself too seriously type game. And there's loads of nods to other genres and other series in it. And yeah, so Jazzpunk kind of sprang to mind. Thanks to the GameonGhost clan. Fair play to you. Number 9 was SubliminalVCR, the incredibly generous and legendary member of the community himself. And he tagged us with M. And 2 series sprang to mind instantly with that. They're definitely in my top 5, if not, I believe, actually a top 3 even series. But in the end, I opted for, I don't have the number of it, but Mass Effect, essentially. Love the series, and I'll say Mass Effect 3, just for argument's sake, because it's a little bit of a divisive one. You know, it's always difficult how to wrap these stories up to everyone's satisfaction. But yeah, I'll go with Mass Effect on that. Brilliant series, excellent overall narrative. As I said, looking through the vegan lens, there's loads of allegories that you could think of, a galactic scale kind of allegory in terms of a superior species looking down on other sentient beings and not taking their agency into consideration, if you will, you know. Brilliant narrative, brilliant companions, really fun to play. So highly recommend. If you haven't, really check out the Mass Effect series, particularly if you're a fan of sci-fi, which I am, but never really bonded with an awful lot of sci-fi games. It's probably only Mass Effect and Dead Space that I can think of that I really resonated with, sci-fi gaming wise, you know. And last but definitely not least, number 10, the double figures person that tagged me, where that kind of sparked me into, okay, I better get this video going, or I'll have a novel here at this stage, the way this thing is going. But we are getting there. I think we're past the halfway mark. I think we're Bon Jovi on this A to Z gaming, you know, halfway there, lads. But it'll be interesting to see who else gets roped into this and what happens, you know. Don't mind Wart here. He's just dossing on the game, you know. So the person that tagged me for the 10th time was Gull Payne, my fellow Irish vegan football frolic orientated legend of a lad. And he brought it all the way back because he's a busy man, you know, to F, essentially. So the letter F from Gull Payne. And he gave me a good laugh because he was talking about me only playing fighting games lately, which is very true between 2XKO and Mortal Kombat 9, I think, and also Street Fighter 6 that I've recently got into. And you know, I actually had a kind of gaming tournament with the family a couple of weeks back, and that was kind of fighting game orientated. So he's definitely not wrong. There is reasons for that though. It's just the old mindset hasn't been, and the time hasn't been able to get stuck into a different genre. Fighting games has just kind of been a good escape where I can hop online, do some ranked matches, casual matches, and battle with people and have a good time. You know, I've kind of had a resurgence of appreciation for the fighting game genre and the FGC. You know, particularly on the online side of things, because I'm no stranger to fighting games, but you know, I never really played online up until relatively recently, so it just opened up a whole new perspective. And it's like when you're having good matches against somebody like 10 sets in a row, I really enjoy trying to figure each other out. It's almost like playing chess with them. You know, once you know the game well enough, you're trying to spot each other's weaknesses and adapt as the match goes on. And I just found that a lot more fun than I thought it would, to be honest. Um, and they're simple enough that I can just hop on for a half an hour or an hour or whatever time I have to distract myself, you know. So Gull, had I already done an F? Yes, I did with Fallout. So I went with Far Cry 5, and it's a similar kind of. I suppose Far Cry 5 was popular. I didn't think I'd like Far Cry 5 as much as I did. I've enjoyed the Far Cry series on the whole, you know, from Far Cry 3, 4, Primal. Can't recall the add-on to Far Cry 5, but it was kind of a post-apocalyptic after the nuke had exploded. New Dawn, I believe. But I just didn't think I'd like Far Cry 5. I don't know. I kind of held off playing it. I haven't played 6 yet. But I held off playing Far Cry 5 for a long time just because I felt it was going to be too Americano. And just from what I'd seen of it, didn't really appeal to me. But when I played, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought the characters were interesting, really fun. The environment was better than I thought, you know. The missions, the side missions and everything were more of a laugh. There was even online elements that were good, you know, create your own level and so on. So yeah, last but not least, from the legendary Gull Payne is F, and I chose Far Cry 5. So hopefully that's sufficient anyway, lads. As for the tagging side of things, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I believe just at a glance here that M is the furthest along the alphabet in that from SubliminalVCR for a play. So this will be a tags for the letter N, and because everybody and their mum has already been tagged in this, as I mentioned some numerous times, there are a few people in the community that I haven't seen for a while, but I think they're taking a break and enjoying life, love, and happiness outside of the YouTube realm. So I won't tag them, just out of respect to them, most likely enjoying life, hopefully. I'm going to actually tag some friends and family who they do have YouTube channels and they are gamers, but they're not active in, you know, as much as I would be, or fellow people in the gaming community, you know, the little community that we have. So I'm going to tag. It's unlikely that they will respond. Maybe they'll respond with a text or something like that, but there's no worry, because you know this thing has just taken off so much that it will continue and no doubt be a success when we hit the home stretch with Z, you know. So for the letter N, I'm going to tag one of my best buddies, Grey Snake 22. So that's my mate George. We grew up together here in Hazelcroft, basically. He's as much of a gamer as me, very, very similar. He hasn't stopped gaming throughout life. A little bit different in the sense of he doesn't give a damn about trophies in any way, shape, or form, whereas I enjoy trophies. I think he does get an interest for it if a trophy challenge kind of comes up. He might get stuck in, but for the most part, he doesn't seek trophies. He just plays what he wants and enjoys it, you know. Very similar gaming levels, I feel, as well throughout the years. So some genres that he's better than me at, and vice versa. Although he'll probably say he's better at all of them. Probably not wrong, to be fair. He's a skilled lad, so he is, particularly at first-person shooters. And I do believe he's played Street Fighter 6. He's stuck with the Street Fighter series, and I think he's diamond level. So if he does spot me on Street Fighter 6, he'll probably kick my ass, you know. But there you go, Grey Snake 22. Your letter is N. Try to pick any game and tag 3 people and keep the flow going, you know. Next up is Tommy Virus. He's my eldest nephew. He has a channel, but hasn't even posted anything to it. But is quite active, just listening to and watching various videos. So there you go, N for you as well. And my other nephew, Stefan Espanda, who also has a channel, 2 I believe. One's more music orientated, and the other one is kind of random, but mostly gaming. And last but not least, Celtic Demon, another nephew, Stefan's brother, my nephew Finn. He's active too on the YouTube. Well, he was on Twitch. He used to play an awful lot of Overwatch on Twitch. He's very good at the FPSs in particular, you know. Stefan's a great gamer too, by the way. He's just one of those lads that can just pick up a game and be at a certain level almost instantaneously, you know. Must be in the genes, so to speak. But yeah, Celtic Demon. So I do believe you're only supposed to tag 3, but I'll tag 4 anyway, just to increase the likelihood that one of them may get involved and keep the chain going on this side, you know. So that's it, guys. Apologies for the rushed video, but it's nearly, I say rushed, but it's still nearly 22 minutes, but at least we got 10 different letters out of the way. Thanks to everyone that tagged us. Very nice he is, very kind he is. There's always a lot of love in this gaming community from my perspective, to be honest. So nice, really great people across the board, across the planet, and it's just wonderful to keep in touch with them and see what's going on and hear their different pixelated perspectives on everything gaming, you know. I just find that really relaxing. It's a great escape. So I shall love yous and leave yous. Look after yourselves and each other. Be kind to all kinds and slán a bhaile. Stay safe from Cinnamon Finn as well, yeah? Have a good one, guys.